What's up, gamers? We're back for a special episode this time of the Prot Warrior Zero to Hero series. This episode's probably going to be a little chunky. There was some complications. We'll get into that later. Let's start off with our vault. I think I kind of made a mistake with this vault. I opened it up and I didn't really see anything that interested me too much. That necklace is probably what I should have taken since I'm still wearing a Season 3 neck. For some reason, I didn't. I think it's just because mine had avoidance and the heavy mastery was pretty disgusting. I'm going to end up taking the Platinum Star Band here, and then just using that to save on crests later on. Now, as you can see here, it's Tyrannical Afflicted Bolstering Week, but this week we ended up having some family come to visit us, which really cut into playing the Warrior time. Now, I realized this mistake, and I've remedied it so it will never happen again. I've gone ahead and cut off all contact with all family. I've informed them that I'm playing WoW. I think this should ensure that I have the maximum amount of time to continue doing things like this series, so that that doesn't happen in the future. But unfortunately, this instance only left me with basically Monday night to try to get some stuff done on the Warrior. So, let's see how that turned out. Starting off strong, we jumped into an 8 Azure Vault. This is one of my favorite keys to tank on Tyrannical Week as a Warrior. Like I've mentioned before, negating boss mechanics completely is extremely useful. Everybody in this key performed really well, except for a couple mistakes on Azure Blade. As you can see, we had one death into another death, but we got it cleaned up. We had one wipe on Umbral Skull. 2 of our DPS, I think, got killed by orbs, so 4 crystals ended up going off, and you're not coming back from that on Tyrannical Week. I mean, it's basically impossible. But we just went in again and got it that time. That's plus 30 score. Immediately trying to fit in as many keys as possible, I jump into the next key, an 8 Nelth. This key, pretty much the same as the last key. No mistakes, goes quick, we time it. I know I'm kind of rushing through these keys, but we've done Nelths, we've seen these, and it wasn't much to write home about. We ended up only getting 3 score here, but this was my own key, I believe. I was pushing it up into a 9 knock HUD, and this is huge. You can see I have a 9 knock HUD in my bag, but I have a 2 knock HUD for Tyrannical, so there's a lot of score there I can get, and that's what I'm gonna be trying to do next. And here is where the problems for this week begins. You can see I asked for a Lust on the first pull here, and then we get into the first pull, and they haven't lusted. Sometimes groups like to wait until you pull the second pack to lust, so I do that. And there's still no lust. Eventually, I just decide to manually type for a lust while I'm also CCing all the mobs. I had to fear there, and I sent that mob off into another pack. I type lust again in the middle of the pull, and I already can see where this is going, so yeah. This time I rebuilt the group, except every single person but me is capable of lusting. I'm thinking this way there's no chance we don't get a lust. On top of that, I split the double pull up into 2 separate pulls. I'm not really that worried about the timer. I'd much rather just get through the 8 than end up with a 7 in my bag. Keep in mind, this is still on Monday night, so there's not a lot of time to get this done. Success is much more important than speed here. And this time, things were going much, much better. Up until we got to the second boss. On the very first Electrical Storm, we end up catching a wipe. I guess the healer couldn't keep up through the Electrical Storm. Everybody's gonna die. And then we're gonna send it again, and we're gonna wipe again. And we're gonna send it again, and we're gonna wipe again before everybody finally calls the key. It's at this point that I'm starting to get pretty worried for the week. It's been like 4 hours or something maybe in between waiting for keys and stuff, and I've gotten like 33 score, which is really not good. So I queue into somebody else's 9 Ruby Life pools. There was pretty good score for me to pick up here. But right off the bat, I kind of got a nervous feeling. You can see right here in chat where I get whispered. I ended up getting PI'd by the Shadow Priest, and instantly I've got bad vibes. Uh-oh. Now, I've salvaged these without a healer before, but never on a warrior. I've already used my racial and I have the bleed going off on me. it's just tearing into me. It's still possible here, and then an afflicted goes off, and it's all over. Still, we send another pull, but pretty quickly, it's obvious that it won't be happening, as right after the first ad goes down, the Shadow Priest just doesn't get out, I guess? I'm not sure what happened. The explosion didn't go off yet before they died, but because of that, we're going to end up not being able to kill the future ads. We're going to wipe, and people are going to leave. Now, it was right there that my mental broke in that Ruby Life pools. After 2 failed knockuds and a failed Ruby Life pools back to back to back, and only getting 33 score for the entire week, I decided I was going to call it for that week, but I didn't think that was fair or fine for a video, so I was going to early next week really get some score in and try to get a video out in time. Now, this video is coming out late, so I didn't quite hit the goal, but I think it's only going to be a day late, so we did pretty good. Instead, for the rest of this evening on Monday, I chilled out on my main, did some keys with my healer friend, and kind of just relaxed and got ready for next week. And then the sun came up, and it was a new week. Now, this week is going to be Incorp and Sanguine, which sounds pretty disgusting on a warrior, but I was excited to open my vault. I thought I had suffered enough punishment last week, and I was ready to be rewarded with Forge Storm. So we're not off to a good start. I quickly put together a group for my key and 8 Brackenhide. I wanted to waste no time because I needed to kind of fit everything as quickly as possible. Looked really quick at this talent that's meant to deal with Incorporeal and decided I'd rather just die than do Incorporeal as a warrior. I think if it had like a 1-minute CD instead of a 3-minute CD, it'd be pretty reasonable. I know Blizzard changed the trees for warrior in the War Within, and I really haven't taken a look at that too much, so maybe I'll take a look at that and see if it's better. Now, I figured this week would be easier in general because I didn't have to rely on pugs knowing mechanics for bosses to complete the key. In Fort Keys, you have pretty much enough timer 99% of the time to just send bodies into packs until you get through it. But so far, so good. This first group was slamming, and we were going to complete this Brackenhide pretty much no problem. I ended up getting 28 score out of it, and a helmet that's hero. I can go ahead and tier that and then apply my enchant on it from Amirdrasil. The enchant scales with your helmet's eye level, so that actually is like a 2-fold upgrade. I hop over to the catalyst and get it catalyzed into tier so I can go ahead and put that on before next key. And next key is going to be a big one. You can see I have a 10 Halls of Infusion, so I actually decided to stop being a complete and utter rat and go get some enchants for my weapons and rings. Now, I didn't get an enchant for my boots or my chest or my wrists, I think, all have enchants because I don't know why I didn't. I just didn't, but I figured I should at least enchant my rings and my weapon. Now, as we're doing 10s, we have Sanguine dropping on the ground now, which just helps to add to the complication, an extra affix. And on Warrior, I don't have the things that I have on Demon Hunter, like Silent Sigil to prevent mobs from casting while standing in Sanguine, or Grip Sigil to just manually move the mobs out of Sanguine. Basically, all you have is the nice, simple backpedal as mobs die off, which is good enough. As you can see, the Sanguine guy is cranking the meter on healing over there, giving us an extra 11 million damage to deal with. And I don't really know what happens here. The healer made a little comment to the monk, and then somebody pulled all this extra shit in, and we don't wipe. I end up living, but everybody else dies, and I kind of have to just deal with this for a while. Other than that, it's a relatively simple key up until we get to this intermission on the last boss. I have absolutely no idea what happened here, but while we were gathering mobs up, some Aqualings come from the stairs. I don't know if they had a Vade bug from the gauntlet or what, but they end up just blasting the healer. It's lost there. We don't have any B-reses up. I think we had used a couple B-reses on the third boss. This procs my cheat death. Everything is going to shit. It was super weird. I think the healer said, like, rip key, but I was still pretty confident. I've seen weirder things happen, and I was pretty sure that we were going to time it. We go ahead and get it on our second pull there, and that is going to be 34 score for me, and no item this time. On to the next key. Going a little quickly, I do a 10 Ruby Life pools that we time with no problems into a 10 Azure Vault that we time with no problems. I guess keys are a little boring when they go so smoothly. The Ruby Life Pools got me 55 score, and the Azure Vault got me another 40 score, so up for 95 score and 2 keys, not too bad. Now for this next section, all you need to know is that the raw footage was 20 minutes long while we waited for a healer and then waited to get into the key, and then the healer DC'd right when it was time to pull the first boss. Somebody pulls it anyway, and we wipe, and that was the last key that I did for the day. What's with this dungeon? Is Naka just like a cursed pug dungeon? Because the next day, I jumped into another key, a 10 Neltheris, my key, and then the weirdest thing happened. The second that I put the keystone in, it started, but it sent us to some weird shadow realm. There was no timer for the fog wall to go down. I couldn't walk out. /reload did nothing. Eventually, I closed the game and tried to log back in on my warrior, only to get the character with that name already exists bug for like 30 minutes straight. So this really halted progress for no reason. Eventually, when I could get back in the game, I realized it did consume my key. My 10 was now a 9, so I reformed the group, ran the 9, got my key pushed back up to a 10, and picked up 9 score, putting me over 2,400 now. Got into an Alderman that managed to slowly struggle its way through. You know, one of the things that I haven't mentioned that I'm going to mention briefly right here is how much time I've actually spent waiting. There was a total of 8 hours of raw footage, and a lot of that footage was me waiting, or just getting declined, or groups not declining me, but not taking me either. They weren't declining me because I was a tank in queue, and they didn't know how long they were going to have to wait, but they weren't accepting me because I wasn't a Vengeance Demon Hunter. Like 90% chance that's what was happening there. And I would see those groups still, like, as I was actually getting accepted eventually into keys, still waiting. So, I mean, that's their choice, of course, but those players would have rather wait for their tank of choice than get into a key at all, which I think is a little bit weird. Either way, after 15 deaths, this group is going to go ahead and get through this 9 Alderman. And on this one, I'm going to pick up 36 score, putting me up to 2443. Now 60 or less than 60 score away from 2,500. Went ahead and hopped straight away into a 10 Algathar, where I got to go crazy, go stupid on this pull, cranking over 1,000,000 damage on a tank. Feels pretty damn good. I don't even know if my Vengeance Demon Hunter does this much damage when I pull this whole room, but it was pretty fun. Also the first time I'm playing with an AUG on the Prot Warrior, and yeah, I felt pretty tanky. AUG is OP. We go ahead and deal with Doragosa, and I pick up 34 score. This puts me to 2474, less than 30 points away. And I know what I must do. I must face my greatest challenge. It's back into Knockhead. Why? Why does it always go like this? The healer just DCs, somebody leaves, it's the first pull. I could not be stopped. I jumped into another group and I immediately knew that this was the one, because they lusted the first pull. It was the first good sign I'd ever seen in a knockout. Ignore that guy's getting B-resed before we even got to lust. But, like, this was gonna be the one. I could feel it. Alright, the moment of truth. Can the healer heal through the electrical storm? And yes, of course, this is the one. This is the blessed group. This is the time I'm gonna make it through my 10 knockout and get 2,500 all at the same time. Now, things weren't perfect. We had a couple deaths, but no wipes. We let a couple of the rotting winds go off in this section. That's really bad. You don't want that to happen. But we're going to manage to pull through here and get to the last boss. We just have to get through this intermission phase. If we do that, we're 2,500 with a 10 knockout timed. I start cheating to the right side a little bit. Here I'm going to use Challenging Shout to silence these 2 mobs and pull them into the other side. I go ahead and the Druid interrupts that. I Stormbolt that one, and the mobs on the other side never come in. I think the Frost Mage ended up freezing them in place when I silenced them, so they're just blasting people. Oh no. I managed to run out and reset it, but looking at the timer, I have some realization setting in. Now, I made it clear that I was going to do the same thing and not to freeze this side, but the mage ignored me and still sheeped that one. Anyway, I go ahead and pull everything together here. You can see the solar beam coming down, lots of interrupts going out, lots of stuns going out. We're going to end up cleaning this intermission phase up, and we just have to go ahead and finish up the boss. Now at this point, I'm dreading it. I'm thinking certainly what I'm thinking isn't about to happen. Certainly, I'm not going to be ultimately cucked in my crowning achievement. Oh no. And just like that, all of our hard work is paid off. Keystone Hero. I want to cap this video off by thanking you for watching. Whether you've watched just this video from start to finish, or you've watched the entire series from start to finish, or you just skipped through the video, I really appreciate that. I'm getting really close to 500 subscribers. I think I'm 2 away at the time of recording, so if you liked the video, go ahead and subscribe. Last week, I mentioned hoping that I would get beta access so that I could bring you more tank content from beta, reviewing the hero talents and kind of seeing how the tanks play. Unfortunately, I still haven't gotten beta access. There's a chance that I'll be able to get the Epic Edition that comes with beta access, but it might not be for a couple more months. There's a chance I get beta for free from Blizzard's invite system. That's kind of up in the air. That's not really up for me to determine right now. If I get that, I'll provide beta content. Be sure to let me know what you thought about this series. Did you enjoy seeing me go from 0 to hero on Prot Warrior? Do you want to see more Prot Warrior content, or do you want to see me do this again, but on a different tank, or even a different spec? I'm pretty much open to anything in Season 4. It's kind of a wacky season. This is the time to have a little bit of fun if you're going to have a little bit of fun. I'll probably put out one more video in this series, kind of a little bonus video, sort of just my thoughts and maybe things I've learned along the way. But other than that, that's going to be it for me today. Subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.